My name is Megan, and I'm doing the role of self-esteem in eating disorders. From research, I have found that self-esteem plays a large role in eating disorders. Self-esteem is defined as a person's attitude towards themselves and evaluation of one's capability to achieve their goals. Low self-esteem and self-criticism are both high risk factors for eating disorders. Self-criticism is also a predictor of the severity of the disorder. Extreme dieting and eating disorders are an individual's effort as a strategy to increase their self-esteem. Another risk factor is perfectionism, having very high expectation for oneself regardless of the consequences to achieve these perfect goals. You can say that many people have had a diet or fitness routine that worked for them and they saw results, but how this becomes a disorder is when your self-worth is weighted on your body image. Your body image and your weight become your worth as a person. This is described as the weight-based self-evaluation schema, or the WBSE. This schema is predominant in anorexia and bulimia. In the WBSE schema, self-esteem is lowered based on an individual's negative evaluations of body weight and shape. This can put into perspective how someone may feel worthless as a person because of their perceived thoughts of their body. Another piece to eating disorders and self-esteem is the experience of an inner voice. An inner voice is also positively correlated to self-criticism, which also affects self-esteem negatively. Inner voices are described as a system of thoughts that are experienced as an actual voice. This voice can say things like, "I forbid you to eat, I command you to vomit," or "You have no discipline and you have failed." Not all individuals have the experience of an inner voice, but those that do have described it as an inner dictator. Of those who experience this inner voice, 21.4% reported hearing it constantly. This experience has also been described as a mental and psychological battle with themselves of conflicting thoughts by Noren Bose, Akapar, and Campbell's 2014 study. Individuals participating in their study also did not want to admit that this chain of thoughts was perceived as a voice because of stigma to other disorders such as schizophrenia. And then my eating disorder and self-esteem article. The article that I chose to focus on is a test of the weight-based self-evaluation schema in eating disorders. Understanding the link between self-esteem, weight-based self-evaluation, and body dissatisfaction by Trottier, McFarlane, and Olmsted in 2012. This article explains that eating disorders are not just a behavior or action around eating, but there's a large cognitive component to the disorder. This component is the WBSE schema. I think this is important to mention because those who have not encountered an individual with an eating disorder may assume that it's all behavior around food, but it's more cognitively complex, which is why I like this article and why I chose it. So the WBSE schema explains that self-esteem is lowered based on an individual's negative evaluations of body weight and shape. This maladaptive thinking pattern is criteria for bulimia and anorexia. Additional research shows that this schema is also frequently present in binge eating disorder. The WBSE schema and negative thoughts around one's body creates a feeling of distress. Individuals react to the distress with eating disorder symptoms. The article explains that body dissatisfaction is not always a major component across eating disorders, but this feature plays a role in maintaining and cycling. So this is an ongoing cycle of overvaluing weight and shape, then leads to lower self-esteem and increased concerns about weight and shape. This cognitive component then causes individuals to have the behavioral symptoms, binging, purging, restricting. A perpetual cycle that fuels itself in this fashion. This article explained that cognitive and behavioral therapy that are targeted at the WBSE schema would improve the overall treatment outcome and enhance relapse prevention. Without targeting this cognitive component, recovery is not as successful. than just behavioral targeted therapy alone. Self-esteem for recovery. Therefore, boosting self-esteem and self-acceptance make individuals resilient to eating disorders. From Norenbos, Akbar, and Campbell's study, they observed that an increase in self-esteem led to a decrease in eating disorder symptoms. Increase in self-esteem also led to an increase in weight and a decrease in eating disorder symptoms. So I think there's a lot of hope for recovery despite the severity of these illnesses. And I suppose this can be a takeaway piece for other parts of our lives as well. That by boosting our self-esteem and self-acceptance may make us resilient to many other obstacles or maybe disorders that we have in our lives. And then here is our video. This is our video link, and this is an account of a person with a binge eating disorder. Here are our additional national websites where information about eating disorders. And then our final slide is our reference page. Thank you all for the generosity of your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.